Hello, wildlings. I'm your Creepsmith, and you found my Fear Forge. Lucky you. Welcome back, wildlings. Tonight's outre outtake is the acid trip. When I was a reckless teenager, I strove for the attention of others. I was a popular kid, like a brother to most people. I was in with cliques like the jocks, the nerds, even the normal kids like me. Well, except for the stoners. The stoners were a bunch of kids who were considered weird by everybody else in school. All of them were guys, except for one girl who was abused by her father and then turned to drugs to control her pain. They all laughed when I messed up. If I ever tried to talk to them, they just smirked at me like I was some damn fool. They used to hang out and listen to Pink Floyd and other rock bands, especially the psychedelic ones. When I told my friends that the stoners didn't like me that much, they told me not to worry. That the stoners were all just cynical, depressed assholes with nothing better to do. But I wanted to prove myself to them, to show them that I wasn't some jock, that I would earn their friendship. Now that I think of it, I really was kind of insecure back then. I used to point out the flaws of others and then did the same things myself. One day, I had had enough, and I went up to them and told them that I wanted to get some LSD. At first, they laughed at me, thought I was joking. I just stared at them with my determined face, and their smiles all turned into frowns. They sold me some for $100. Hey, my parents could afford it. I went home and waited for my parents to go to bed so that I could take it. I put the little tab on my tongue and let it dissolve. It took less time than I expected it to. I waited an hour, staring at the shows on television, and soon there was a white light coming from the floorboards. It felt warm, like that feeling when you put your hand near a light bulb. So, of course, I went to get a crowbar out of the garage. I got the board loose and looked down. There I saw a ladder. So, like a fool, I went down it. At the bottom of the ladder, I walked down a long dirt corridor with a stone path. And there I saw a doorway with the sign, Harvest Area 22, Authorized Personnel Only. I walked through the door and into a hallway that itself had 3 more doors. I walked through the middle one and went through another long dirt corridor. This all took what felt like an eternity. I wished it was. I saw thousands of pink humanoid creatures with clumps and pockets of skin. They had glowing yellow eyes, sharp, mangled teeth, and long, bony arms. They all walked with a hunch, almost dragging their nails along behind them. They looked confused, sad, scared. There were hundreds of soldiers here with very large assault rifles. I could see flags. The United States, Russia, Great Britain. The soldiers wore black, red, and blue uniforms with gas masks on. The creatures they watched over all stopped and looked up at me, thousands of glowing yellow eyes. So I ran. I ran as fast as I could away from that place and went into my father's room. At the time, I didn't care if he was awake. I went to his closet and grabbed out his shotgun and some ammunition and waited downstairs, aiming at the floorboard. I heard a sick, growling noise, and it was coming closer. There were footsteps echoing down the long corridor, and I had my finger pressed tightly against the trigger of the shotgun. One of the creatures came up the ladder, and it looked directly at me as if it was looking into my very soul. I tried to talk to it, asking if it needed help, but all it could say was, "Coming." More footsteps echoed. It sounded like hundreds of them. Then the gunshots came. It sounded like a massacre, like the screams of those things. Well, they're still in my head. This creature looked as if it was about to cry. I heard a voice yell, "Halt!" And then the sound of footsteps came towards the ladder. It all felt so real, but I had just remembered that I was on LSD. A soldier emerged out of the hole with a large revolver. He pointed it at the creature and pulled the trigger, and the lime green blood spattered all over me. The soldier threw the mangled body of the creature down the ladder. He said, "We'll send a crew to clean this morning. Here, take this." He handed me a small pocket knife with the number 22 on the side of it. "For your protection." Okay. The soldier went back down the hole and disappeared. I went back to bed, scared and alone. The next morning, I woke up and went down to eat breakfast. I saw the living room was still completely intact after all the events of last night. Now I was sure that had been a trip. I took the bus to school. I saw the stoner girl there and said thanks about giving me the LSD. And she just gave me the most incredulous look I'd ever seen. You realize that they pulled a prank on you, right? They gave you sugar tablets. The images of last night went through my head. The creatures, the soldiers, the shotgun. What had happened? After school, I went home, tore up my room, and found a pocket knife with the number 22 on the side. Well, somebody's been brushing up on their X-Files. Stay scary, wildlings, and make the most of your nights.